In a world now where everything moves so fast and everyone's looking to the future all the time, and I think to books like, and excuse my Welsh accent here, Yuval Noah Harari's *Sapiens*, and all these books that are really popularized and fly off the shelves. Why do you think it? Why do you think people love to look back?
Oh, I'm so thrilled that people do look back. I think there's a lot said now about the loss of history, and usually when people say that students aren't being taught history, and I know less about what happens in the UK educational system, but I think it is increasingly popular to bemoan the fact that history is no longer taught the way it used to be. And this is true, but history is defined as basically that moment from which we started recording our own experiences. And so obviously the vast majority of what humans have been, if you go back to the origin of life on Earth 3.5 billion years ago, the part of that is recorded history is a tiny blip. But even the part of history of prehistory, if you will, that's not recorded by humans, that includes anatomically and physiologically modern humans, which is give or take 200,000 years, that part of history that is recorded is 1% of that, basically, just a tiny bit more than 1% of that. So of course there is something to be learned from going farther back. And also those things that have been true for the longest and have not changed are most likely to continue to serve us in the future. And the better we understand them, the more productive and powerful in a good way we should be able to be going forward.
It's interesting you say that because I studied history at university and I feel like all we covered was the last 60 years.
There it is. Yeah. And I'm wondering what, was it framed that way? Did you know that's what you were setting yourself up for when you signed up to study history?
In a way, because when I was at high school, that was what it was framed around. I think British universities, they sort of romanticize over World War II more than anything, to be honest. And I think if you sign up for a history degree, you're pretty much doing a degree in the First and Second World War.
Yeah. And it's, I get it at one level, but it's hardly everything that we are. Just as the hunter-gatherers on the African savannah are hardly anything that we are, everything that we are. Those are pieces. And the World War II is incredibly salient, and it too is even disappearing from collective memory at a remarkable rate. But without the framing of the sort of the expanding lens of history that we have these nested sets. And yes, right now, this very moment that you and I are talking, it'll be a later moment when this airs. It's a different moment in history yet, but it's all relevant. And the more places that we can focus with a sort of a unifying lens that says, okay, what does it mean and what should we do about it? I think the better off we'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of empowerment from looking back now. And I was speaking to an astrophysicist a few weeks ago on this podcast, and we were talking about the night sky and how when we look up at the night sky, it's the same night sky that Shakespeare would have looked up at. And, all these great people throughout history, and it made me feel more connected to these great people from the past and inspired me to go forward. So in that way, I take a lot from looking back at the past.
Oh, I mean, that's exactly right. And in fact, I think, I don't remember all of the things that we took out of the book. It's an expansive book, but I believe it's still in there. Maybe in the sleep chapter, we say specifically, with regard to at a societal level, we should be seeking to keep our night sky dark, because that is a collective good that has value for the kind of philosophical and metaphorical reasons that you're talking about right there, historical reasons. And presumably, one of the messages of the book is we mess with the things that work at our peril because we don't necessarily know what the benefits are, right? We don't necessarily know what all the night sky, being able to gaze up at the night sky offers us. I'm reminded when I was a child, I grew up in LA, and I grew up about a mile and a half from the Pacific Ocean. And once I was old enough, this would have been in the late 70s, 80s. Once I was 8 or 9, I was allowed to walk down to the ocean by myself. And just being able to sit in the sand and gaze out at the Pacific, which seemed endless, and imagining what people lived on the far side of that, and also seeing how small this made me and the people I knew and all of the concerns that I had. And so I think, the night sky offers us both the time and the space perspective, if you recognize that you're looking back in time as well when you look at those stars. And so, an historical and prehistorical and evolutionary approach to understanding who we are gives you both of those things too. And then thinking about, for instance, the Beringians coming into the New World offers you the spatial perspective.